Need a menu to make a good first impression? Stay tuned. The one scene that your player will return to time after time. That first impression, giving him a sense of what is to come, or that comforting, familiar feeling. It doesn't really matter how big your game is. A main menu will make your project look polished, make it legit. Often you'll find that a main menu turns a proof of concept into a finished product. Even my first humble games, I always took the time to add a main menu before moving on to the next project. Okay, so let's start by creating a new project in Unity. The very first thing I'd like you to take notice of is the event manager that was generated when the project was created. If it's not here, none of the button presses will work. Or if you've recently switched to the new Unity input manager, it's important that the active input handling is set to use both the old and the new input manager, otherwise the button presses won't work either. Let's create two scenes to start us off. One to act as the menu and another scene to act as a placeholder for the first stage of our game. Let's add some text and we can put some particle effects in the background. Back to the menu scene, let's add a text mesh pro button. The text scales slightly better and you've got some more settings on your shadows. I'm going to call this first button start game. And let's see if I can find a nice font. Thefont.com is a great resource of public domain and 100% free fonts to use in all your projects. Let's find something suitable. Mickey KW. Yeah, let's download it. The next step is to add the font to our project and then import it via the TextMesh Pro font creator utility. We can now use the font in our project. Let's create a custom image for our button. Just get our dimensions correct. And then I'm just going to go for a splash of black. When adding the image to your project, just make sure that the texture type is set to Sprite 2D and UI. Let's make the text white. I'm changing the camera background to a solid color, making it white as well. And I will resize the button to be nice and big and anchored to the middle of the page. Next, I'm going to add some animations to the button. Okay, let's just mess around with the font color and maybe the size of the button. Okay, so we've got a separate animation for hovering over the button and one if you actually press it. There we go, happy with that. I'm now going to duplicate the button and rename it to Exit Game. This looks pretty good. Let's see if we can now make it work. Let's create a folder for our scripts and we can create a script and let's call it menu. Okay, let's add using scene management to the top as we're going to be loading scenes. We don't need the start or the update, so we can get rid of those. And we'll create a new function to quit the game. And we can create a function to load the next scene. There's a few ways of doing this. I actually prefer the cowboy approach of actually specifying the name. You'll notice in other tutorials that people do this differently. The reason that I do it this way is I prefer the game to actually crash while I'm developing if it's doing something that I'm not expecting. Be sure to add the scene to the build settings, otherwise you'll be seeing that crashing happening sooner than later. The next step is to hook up the script to the on-click event of the buttons. We do this by dragging the script onto the canvas object and then using the canvas object in the click event and selecting the appropriate script to fire on each button click. And let's test. The exit button will only function in the compiled version of the game, so you'll have to build and run. Final part's often overlooked, but I feel it's probably the most important thing to do, is to make the menu look vibrant, make it look alive. Use objects from within your game that you've already built. Create that atmosphere that you want to create. Be sure to add some animations, have something moving in the background. Stand back and enjoy your creation. I really encourage you guys to watch at least 5 or 6 more of these menu tutorials on YouTube. Every time you watch something, a new piece of information drops. Put them all together and you can make a spectacular menu of your own. Like, subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. Hit me with questions below. Till next time.